You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
What's going on, guys? It's Whimsy here, and in today's Warframe video we are going to be looking at the Incarnon Furis. And more specifically, we're going to be looking at the Incarnon form. Now, the standard form isn't as good as the Incarnon form, and I wouldn't use the standard form unless I'm building up that Incarnon gauge. But the Incarnon form is ridiculous with this weapon. It is pretty decent. It's not as good as the Lex or as the Leto or the Bronco, but it is still pretty good nonetheless. Before we get started, if you did like this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. All of that stuff helps me out. Also, leave a like on this video if you want to see some more Warframe weapon build content. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's get into it. So, this is the Furis. Now, there is no Furis Prime or any Furis Vandal, Furis Wraith. It's just a plain old standard Furis, but that's not stopping this weapon from being an absolute beast. So, for today's video, I only have one build for you, and this is the build I have come up with. Now, we have Creeping Bullseye for that plus 200% critical chance and negative 20% fire rate. We have Galvanized Shot, plus 80% status chance, and on kill plus 40% direct damage per status type, affecting the target for 14 seconds. This stacks up to 3 times. Then we have Pistol Pestilence, plus 60% Toxin and plus 60% status chance. Then we have this amazing Furis Riven, plus 181.7% puncture, plus 228.3% critical chance, and negative 58.6 projectile speed. Now, this projectile speed isn't as bad as it could be. That critical chance is definitely going to help this weapon out, and the puncture also does help it out. Next, we have Frostbite, plus 60% cold, plus 60% status chance. Lethal Torrent, plus 60% fire rate, plus 60% multi-shot. Galvanized Diffusion, plus 110 multi-shot on kill, plus 30% multi-shot for 20 seconds. And Prime Target Cracker for that 100% critical damage. Now, make sure you have this mod maxed. I do not have this mod maxed so far, but I will in the future. For the Arcane, we are running R5 Cascadia Flare. On heat status effect, plus 12% damage for 10 seconds, stacks up to a whopping 480%. Now, this weapon's Incarnon form actually deals heat damage. That is why I'm running Cascadia Flare, to get that plus 480% extra heat damage. If you do not have Cascadia Flare, you could always run either Secondary Deadhead or Secondary Merciless. Those will help you out big time. But for now, I'm using Cascadia Flare. Over on the left-hand side, we have critical chance at 26.4%, critical multiplier 4 times, status 120%, dealing mainly slash and viral for a total of 731 total damage. Now let's head on over to Cavallero to check out the Incarnon form choices. Alright, so we are at Cavallero, and he evolves your Incarnon weapons as always. Now, this Furis build has 5 former. It's a pretty former heavy build. So starting off at Evolution 1, we have the Incarnon form. Play a solo mission with this weapon equipped, and you will gain the Incarnon form. Evolution 2, we have 2 choices. You have Haven Foray, increases damage by 28, with overshields increases damage by 30. Or you can choose Storm Burst, increases damage by 28. On hitting enemies affected by electricity status, plus 40% multi-shot for 2 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. The reason I'm not using Storm Burst is because if I use electricity and the heat from the Incarnon form, I end up dealing radiation. I want to deal viral and heat. That is why I chose Haven Foray. If I had overshields, my damage would be increased, but I'm just using it for that increased damage. Moving on to Evolution 3, we have 3 choices. You have Practice Grip, increases accuracy by 50%. Extended Volley, which I chose, increases magazine capacity by plus 25. Or Executioner's Fortune, on headshot plus 10% chance for instant reload. You could choose either one of these. I personally went for the Extended Volley. Increased magazine capacity to me is better than accuracy and that 10% chance for a reload. Finally, Evolution 4, we have 3 choices. You have Head Cracker, on headshot plus 5% fire rate for 2 seconds, stacks up to 10 times. So in theory, you get 50% fire rate. Or you can choose Prelude of Might with critical chance below 40%, increases critical damage multiplier by +3 times. I chose Elemental Balance for that increase in base status chance, but you could choose either of these options. Let's head on over to the Simulacrum and test this weapon out. Alright, so we are in the Simulacrum, and I'm going to be using Mirage today for these tests. Now, the first round of tests, I will use no abilities whatsoever, and the second round, I will use all of my abilities, just so you can see the minimum and maximum damage output. Now, we are going to be versing 20 Corrupted Heavy Gunners, level 160 with the Steel Path modifier on, of course. And before we get into this, I just want to show you the build once again. So this is the endgame setup, and we've got a ton of status procs and also doing viral and slash with the critical chance from this Riven. We're also using Cascadia Flare for the extra 480% heat damage. So, as I said in the intro, we are not focusing on the standard form. The standard form is, of course, the normal Furis form. What we really want to focus on is the Incarnon form. So I activate it and shoots out a wide beam of energy that completely decimates enemies. Because this is a galvanized mod setup, you do need to get a few kills before the build takes full effect. So, as you can see, that damage is amazing. We've got a few orange crits in there as well. Look how fast we kill them, and that is without any abilities. That is crazy. Now let's spawn them again, and I'm going to show you with all of the abilities how much damage this weapon can deal. So, activate everything, and even the standard form is now really good. With this galvanized setup, you do need to get a few kills for it to take effect, but once you get to that highest point with your galvanized setup, you will deal a ton of damage. Now the standard form is good with all of the abilities, and it just decimates enemies. Just to go back, this weapon does run out of ammo very quickly, so I would highly recommend you get an ammo sustainable mod, like the ammo mutation for pistols. But once we activate the Incarnon form, you're going to see how much damage we're going to deal. Now, we are doing radiation thanks to the Smite ability I infused onto my Mirage. So, I am using Oberon's Smite Augment, Smite Infusion, just so I can deal some extra damage. But yeah, radiation with this is crack. Now, the reason radiation works with this and not with the actual weapon build itself is because Mirage's ability is giving radiation. The weapon is not giving radiation, Mirage's ability is. Well, technically Oberon's ability is. That is why the radiation and heat works well together. If I was dealing radiation with this weapon, it wouldn't deal as much damage. But as you can see, with the radiation, it does a ton. Now, if you want to try this weapon out for yourself, go ahead. It is very fun. It's one of my favorite weapons. I love the way that the Incarnon form works. Let's head on over to a normal Steel Path survival, and I will show you how this weapon performs. Alright, so we are in Mott's in the Void, level 140 to 145 Steel Path enemies. And I'm just going to show you what this weapon can do in a real mission. I'm running Harrow just so I can show you how to get everything set up for this weapon. And Harrow just makes the game a lot easier. So, get the headshots, activate the Incarnon form, and we are now doing a ton of damage. Look how much damage we're dealing. We are shredding through these enemies. These guys do not stand a chance. Look at that. These guys are just getting absolutely destroyed. Build up that headshot gauge and completely annihilate any enemy in sight. Overall, this weapon is really fun to use. I quite like it. It's the reason why I'm playing Warframe again. I use this as my go-to weapon all the time, just because I find it really fun. Now, if you don't find this weapon fun, or you just want to try it out for the first time, absolutely go ahead. I would highly recommend you pick this weapon up. Obviously, pick up the other better weapons first, just so you have those weapons. But once you get those weapons and you want to try out some new Incarnon weapons, I would highly recommend you pick up the Incarnon Furis. Look at that. Completely annihilating everything. Overall, I would rate this weapon a A tier. It is not quite S tier. It is not the best weapon, but it still does handle its own very well. One of the issues with this weapon is the ammo. You run out of ammo very quickly, so I would highly recommend you invest in a ammo mutation mod or anything that can give you extra ammo, like those ammo restores. But overall, this weapon is pretty damn good. I really like it. I hope you guys like it too. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you did like this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. All of that good stuff helps me out. Thank you all so much for the support on my videos. It really does mean a lot to me. If there's anything I can improve on, anything you want to see in future videos, please let me know down below. That being said, thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. It's been Swim, guys. Later. I'll line up. Oh my god.